Number 16, the Philadelphia Eagles.
They have the green helmet with the wing logo on each side and a black face mask. The home jersey has a black collar and numbers on the upper shoulder pad with the actual eagle head logo on the lower shoulder. The name of the team is placed above the numbers, which are white, and the pants are white with a stripe running from the top to the bottom. The socks are black on top, white on the bottom. The road uniform is fairly similar, but the jersey is white and the numbers are green instead. The pants are green with a stripe running top to bottom, and the socks are the same, black on top, white on the bottom.
These uniforms have been around since 1996. That was the year they were introduced. It's amazing they've lasted this long.
Right.
We're talking about 25 years later, and they've stayed with this look, and it's a solid look. The best thing you can say about it is, like the Ravens, I do associate it with a good team. Think of Andy Reid and Donovan McNabb first when I look at these, even though they won the Super Bowl with Nick Foles. They've done a lot of winning. They've been to 2 Super Bowls, lots of championship games. They've been a competitive team. The helmet's strong. Not the greatest in the league, but it's a strong helmet. The uniform, as far as the jersey, the pants, I prefer what you see there. The home green on white, road white on green. They also have this shade of green is the only type anyone has. So it's very different than what you have with the Packers.
Or Jets.
That's Eagles green. As we've said in this review, typically don't like the name on the jersey, but I will say it's one of the better looking names on a jersey, so it's all right. They've done different combinations with their uniform sets, like they've done white on white. They've even done green on green way back at the beginning when they start wearing these uniforms. But I like them overall. As we've said, they fall under the category of average uniforms, a little above average helmet. I wouldn't put it in the category of some of those other teams we've talked about. I'm fine with the fact that they've stayed with these uniforms as long as they have, but personally, I feel like they're not outdated, but they've ran their course. I would like to see them return to the 80s to about mid-90s look for a change.
I agree. Very solid overall, and this combination looks the best. But if they're able to return to the 80s to mid-90s uniform set and somehow have silverish pants to go with them, that would be preferable. And they could have these as a throwback.
15, the Buffalo Bills. At this point, now we're going into what we consider the above average uniforms.
They have a white helmet with the Charging Buffalo logo on the side, a stripe that is unique in that it is your typical size at the top of the helmet, but then gets wider as it extends to the end at the back. This year they changed their face mask from gray to white, which they had used with their Color Rush uniforms for the last few years. The jersey has white collar partially until about the neck, where it's blue. They have very traditional style numbers on the shoulder pad with stripes on the lower part of the sleeve, white stripe with the red border, and the name of the team is placed above the numbers in white. Numbers are white with a red border on the blue jersey. And the pants are white with stripe running from the top to the bottom. The Charging Buffalo logo is placed near the top over the stripe. And the socks are blue with white stripes with red borders on the top and white on the bottom. The road jersey is similar but reversed overall. The collar is blue and becomes white near the neck, and the numbers are instead blue with red border. The stripes on the sleeves are blue with a red border, and the pants are blue with a stripe running from the top to the bottom with the same Charging Buffalo logo near the top overlaying the stripe, and the socks are on the top blue with stripes, two stripes blue with a red border, and the lower part of the sock is white.
What do you like about these uniforms?
Overall, they are very traditional with the numbers and the stripes on the sleeves and socks and the pants. The Bills have changed their combinations of elements a lot over the years. You had white helmets with the Charging Buffalo logo, white helmets with the red hunched over Buffalo logo, red helmets with the Charging Buffalo logo and a blue face mask, red helmets with the Charging Buffalo logo on white face mask. And then, of course, there are a lot of different jerseys as well. Similar ones to these. The 90s version, which you think of the Super Bowl era, and then the somewhat experimental ones they had for quite a while with the colored bar across the top for both the home and the road.
I call those the Drew Bledsoe.
Right.
Drew Bledsoe Bills.
Or, yeah, hockey types similarities. But overall, this is very solid.
Yeah, for me, as we've gone on through the teams, we've expressed again that we do not prefer white helmets, but the logo is such a strong design, and there's no glaring weakness when you're looking at these uniforms. The numbers are better than most of what we've gone through at this point, and I do like that they went back to a classic 70s look. I think of O.J. Simpson, Bills. I mean, my preference is the 80s, 90s look with the red helmet. Really like those, even though everyone thinks of losers, the Marv Levy, Jim Kelly, Bruce Smith, Thurman Thomas, Andre Reed teams that went to 4 straight Super Bowls. But when I look at that, I think of winners. You think of the 4 Super Bowl losses, but the Bills were never more competitive in their history than they were during that period. I mean, few franchises can boast of getting to 4 straight Super Bowls and winning 4 straight conferences like the Bills did. But this is a good uniform set when it's done this way, especially no color on color, blue on white at home, white on blue on the road, but it's one of my favorite logos the whole league.
Same here, and this is also, I would say, one of those situations too where the white on white does actually work. We typically don't prefer that, but I will say that it's one of these teams
better
that
than most.
Yeah.
Number 14, the New York Giants.
And the Giants have the blue helmet with the NY logo on the side. They have a unique element with the numbers printed on each side of the helmet stripe, which is red, both on the front of the helmet and the back. And the face mask is gray. The home jersey is blue with the numbers on the shoulders. The NY logo is again here above the numbers, which are white. The pants are white with a stripe that runs from the top to the bottom, and the socks are blue. The road uniform is white with red numbers, a red stripe on the sleeve, and red NY above the main numbers, which are also red. And the pants are gray with a stripe running from the top to the bottom, and the socks are red.
Well, New York Giants, this is a very interesting one for me. So when I think of the New York teams, you don't think of uniforms that are pretty or beautiful. They're not the most exciting uniforms, but they're always very solid uniforms, just across sports. We went over the Jets and what we disliked about the Jets, especially moving away from their traditional Joe Namath era uniforms. The Giants went back to the 60s. The 60s uniform set. I mean, a little different, but that's the helmet that they have. My favorite set is what I would call the Bill Parcells, Phil Simms, Lawrence Taylor Giants of the 80s and the 90s, and I know we're very biased towards that. I'm not going to complain here. I like the classic helmet. The home is a good look, and I especially like that they have gone with the white pants.
Right.
That was an improvement, and another reason that we have them in the top half here. Classic helmet, strong blue jersey, white pants, blue socks. The road uniform, I'd like to see them go back to what they were wearing right when they switched to this uniform set. There's just too much red.
Yes.
For my liking. You look at just take the jersey. It's almost a 49ers road jersey.
Very similar.
When you see the players on the sidelines, like you could say an Eli Manning when he was quarterback for so many years. He doesn't have his helmet on. All you see is from the waist up. That almost looks like a 49ers jersey because there's no blue on it at all.
Right.
When they had the road jersey, when they first reintroduced these uniforms, they had blue, and they had blue socks. But now, it's all red. I mean, it's still all right. It's better than many uniforms, but I'd like to see a little more blue. I mean, they've got blue on the pants, they do, but just not what I think of when I think of the Giants.
Right. Blue is too much of a primary color, especially in the helmet, to not have any at all in the jersey.
And it's not what they had either when they didn't have that going back to the 60s. So overall, a good uniform set, and they can keep this one or they can go to the Parcells Giants. Number 13, Washington football team.
They have a burgundy helmet with the number on the side of the helmet and the yellow face mask. The home jersey is burgundy with white numbers on the shoulders. They have the name Washington above the numbers, which are white with a yellow border. The pants are white with a stripe that is burgundy with a yellow border running from the top to the bottom. And the socks are burgundy on top with a yellow stripe and white on the bottom. The road jersey is white with burgundy numbers and a yellow border. And the team name, Washington, is also placed above the numbers, which are burgundy with yellow border. And the pants are burgundy with a stripe running top to bottom, which is white with a yellow border. The socks are burgundy on top with a yellow stripe and white on the bottom.
This is a difficult team for me to come to because, well, we're getting used to not calling them the Redskins. And when I look at this uniform set, and I'll go back to talking about the Redskins a little more here in a moment, but it's really telling that we have this at number 13, and this is a team that was stripped down, has no logo. The stripe on the helmet is gone, yet it's still number 13 on our list. And that just tells you the sad state of where uniforms are today.
Mm.
That a team that has no logo is still at number 13. The Redskins, and I'm not going to be popular saying this, it's not politically correct, was one of my favorite uniform sets in the entire league. It would be in our top 10, well, without any question. Great helmet. The only team that had burgundy in the whole league. We know when Joe Gibbs was the coach, and even after he was coaching the first time, at home and throughout most of the season, you just see the white on burgundy. Because that's what they would wear on home, that's what they would wear on the road, except for when they go to Dallas.
Right.
Or if they were going to Miami. Those were about the only times you'd see that uniform set. But I miss it. I really miss the look and the logo because it was strong. It was not weak looking. It wasn't cartoony like, say, the Cleveland Indians. It is a beautiful helmet. But I'll get back to what we have here. Even though we don't have it anymore, I still really like the color combination for the reasons we've said. The contrast is beautiful. It's the only team that has this color combination. The numbers are good. It's just, there's no particular weakness when I look at it. Even when we look at the Giants, we found a weakness with the road uniform here. Although I miss the Redskins look, it's better than every other team we've gone through at this point. That's why we have it at number 13.
Right. Yeah, if they would just add the stripe back to the helmet, to me that is the biggest weakness. I don't know if it was just because they didn't want to maintain having to cut it for the helmets that have vents in the front or what, but you really have a nice contrast and matching with the stripe on the pants when you have that, and they should really bring that back. I would hope.
Right. if we are nitpicking to find a weaknesses, they don't have a stripe on the helmet, and that was a great point because that was totally unnecessary why they removed that. All I can think of is, well, they didn't want to look like they just took the logo off, and that's all they did to change the uniform. But they should have kept it.
Yeah.
Number 12, Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
They have the pewter helmet with the flag, skull, crossbones logo with a pewter face mask. The home jersey has the block numbers in white with a black border on the shoulder. At the sleeve, the black pirate ship logo with the white skull and crossbones, the same. That the team name is in black above the main numbers. The main numbers are white with a black border. The pants are pewter with a stripe going from the top to the bottom, red with a black border, and the socks are black with white on the bottom. The road uniform is almost identical, but the numbers are red with a black border. The jersey is white. The team name is also above the main numbers, and the pants are the same, but same black and white socks.
Well, we were both thrilled to see the Buccaneers last season returning to these uniforms. Not that they're exactly the same to the ones they had prior to the last set of uniforms that they wore, with the alarm clock numbers, which for me is still the worst looking numbers. Even worse than the Rams, what they have now, as much as we don't like those. But there's a lot to like with these uniforms. And, of course, they make you think of the first time they won the Super Bowl, not just Tom Brady. Helmet's very strong. I mean, it's a good logo. I like the flag. It's tough. They're the only team that has that pewter look. And we especially like it when they stay to these uniforms. The white on white is not bad for the road, but especially for home, we don't want to see pewter on pewter. But red on pewter, white on pewter, and the black socks. When they wear it like this, it's one of the better looking uniforms you have now.
Yeah. Yeah, overall, they use the same numbers, apparently exactly from the original uniform set. They just slightly modified the pirate ship on the sleeve, and the logo on the helmet is still very, very similar.
We have to say about one of the way criticisms we have is just the flag is too large on the helmet. They went back to what they had previously. Let's just call it the Brad Johnson Buccaneers. I'm joking by that. Warren Sapp, John Lynch, Derek Brooks.
Right.
Those Tony Dungy, John Gruden Buccaneers.
Right.
Just go back to that helmet, but still, very strong look.
Yeah. If they would just shrink the logo a bit more, I really thought the original size that original set had was pretty much perfect size. That would be ideal. It is better than what they had with the previous uniforms they had, but if they would just shrink the size, it would be better. Also, I did like the original flag a bit better. The skull and the swords in the football, especially the skull, I thought looked a little more realistic and menacing maybe, but this one to me is a little more dull expression in the skull, but overall very minor.
Yeah, it's very interesting, and when Tom Brady signed with the Buccaneers, you think he was going to wear for one moment those terrible uniforms. Where would we have counted that or ranked that on our uniforms? It would have been way back there. It would have been in the running for number 32.
Right.
And Tom Brady cares about how he looks.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone knows he cares about his appearance, and there's no way he was going to be wearing that uniform. And the best part about, even though I didn't really want to see the Buccaneers get in the Super Bowl the first year of Tom Brady, it was nice to see they got it right.
Yeah.
Wearing these.
Yeah, we would have said that they got some extra help by getting the uniform right.
Yeah, because if you're going to win, you might as well win in style.
Yeah.
And look as good as possible. Number 11, the Carolina Panthers.
They have the silver helmet with the Panther logo on the side, the stripe going from top to bottom of the helmet in the middle, the black face mask, and the home jersey has black as the main color with a blue collar, numbers on the shoulder, stripe on the shoulder sleeve with the Panther logo below it. The numbers in the middle are white with the blue border, no team name. The pants are gray with a blue stripe with a black border running from the top to the bottom, and the socks are black top and white on the bottom. The road jersey is white with a black collar, black numbers with the blue border on the shoulder, stripe on the sleeve with the Panther logo below. Again, no team name above the numbers. On the main jersey, the numbers are black with the blue border. The pants are white with a stripe, which is blue with the black border running all the way down from top to bottom, and the socks are blue on top and white on the bottom.
I wait to say this once we got to the Panthers, because it's a similar feeling I have about the Buccaneers. When I see the Buccaneers, I think of, as much as I like them, they're not the most original uniforms, because the helmet and the pirate theme reminds me of the Raiders, and the uniform set reminds me of the 49ers. It's just with little tweaks. They've got the pewter instead of the gold. They've got the red. With the Panthers, I think of the Raiders as far as the color scheme goes. When the Panthers entered the league, their home uniform was silver helmet, black jersey, silver pants. Raiders. That's what everyone would think of naturally. But what they added in with these home uniforms, traditionally they wore road a lot at home too. And at times they still do. They don't always wear these, but we'll call it the home uniform. They added in the blue. And of all the uniforms for expansion teams, I have to say that is my favorite. I'll knock them a little bit because they're not, again, totally original. They do borrow from the Raiders a lot, but good helmet. I loved when they had silver pants, and I loved that they wore those during the Super Bowl, Super Bowl 50, with Cam Newton and against the Broncos. What a look. I don't like the fact that a lot of these teams who had the shiny pants now have they just have great pants. But they're still very good home uniforms. And for me, I always think of, I don't think of Cam Newton, I think of Kerry Collins is the first quarterback that I was really watching the Panthers in. That's what I will always think of, or I'll think of Kevin Green or Sam Mills, those players, when I see the Panthers. The road uniform though it's white on white, is excellent. It's one of the best white on whites. They have good pants, and they get the socks right too. Just nothing's out of balance. I mean, they're just strong uniforms. And even if they have the silver pants, I'd rank them even higher here.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely one of the most solid uniforms for any expansion team, and amazing when they revised these a number of years ago now that they didn't change them more dramatically.
Yeah, just compared to the Jaguars. I mean,
Right.
they came in the league at the same time. How many times did they... I mean, I haven't kept track of how many times they've changed their uniforms. The Panthers have basically stayed with these. You know, I don't like the blue. Don't wear the blue. But for the most part, they've stayed with these uniforms.
I was expecting that they were going to revise them more drastically and change the numbers to be very modern and unattractive, and the logo, just who knows how much they would have done. But very surprising that they have stuck so close to their original set, and also they did not add their team name on to either jersey.
Yes.
Why then are the Panthers not in our top 10? Their strengths are not on the same level as the top 10 teams.
We're now in the top 10. Number 10 is the Cleveland Browns.
They have an orange helmet with a stripe down the middle, which is white with a brown border. The face mask is brown. Home jersey is brown with white numbers on the shoulder. There are stripes on the shoulder sleeve. White, orange, white, orange, white. And the numbers are white. And the pants are white with a stripe running from the top to the bottom. Brown on the inside with a orange border on the outside. The socks are striped on the top, brown, white, orange, white, orange, white, brown, and white on the bottom. The road uniform is very similar, but white with brown numbers. The stripes on the sleeve are brown, orange, brown, orange, brown. And the pants are brown with a stripe running from the top to the bottom, brown on the inside, orange on the outside. And the socks are striped as well with brown, orange, brown, orange, brown at the top and white on the bottom.
While these uniforms are not exactly the same set that we had in the 90s before the Browns were contracted or when they returned in 99, I welcome these uniforms with open arms. Just about anything they could wear as the Browns is better than the disaster that the last uniform set was.
These uniforms, even though there are a few little differences, will get out the weaknesses or the negative points first. The first thing that we don't like is the matte helmets. Second thing is we both prefer white face mask. But once you get past the helmet, it's for a matte helmet, it's about as good as a matte helmet could be. I'll say that. But when we get to the actual jersey and the pants, they're great. There's nothing that I complain about. The home uniform, the brown on top for the jersey is excellent. Again, the only team that has it. White pants, great combination. On the road, they have several different combinations. You've got the white on the brown, which is what I like. I know you prefer the orange pants, or they could wear white on white, which is the classic look for the Browns. But I really like all three of them.
Right, I agree. They're all solid, and as far as the road uniform goes, all of them I think do look good. I liked the orange pants in the playoffs last year. That's where I saw a lot of them and came to like them. But before that, I would have said I liked the white pants preferably. But I did appreciate the orange pants, seeing them more throughout the playoffs, and they matched the helmet well. But the brown pants work well too, because it's basically a reverse of the home uniform, and I do like that design in football uniforms as well. So they did very well in returning to a more classic look after having the, we'll say, Johnny Manziel era look for the minimum 5 years, I believe.
Yeah, we don't need the name on the pants, and we don't need it so large that you can read it on TV.
Right, on the jersey.
The Browns don't have a logo on their helmet, but what they get right that Washington gets wrong is they don't put the numbers on, but they have the classic striping on the helmet, and everything is so clean on the jersey and the pants. Not usually a fan of striped socks, but it matches the shoulders. Number 9, the Chicago Bears.
And they have a navy blue helmet with the C logo on the side. They have at home a blue jersey with white numbers and orange border on the shoulder. They have the 3 stripes in orange with a white border on each shoulder sleeve. They have the GSH initials on one side, shoulder sleeve, and the pants are white with a orange stripe running top to bottom with a blue border, and blue socks with 3 orange stripes on the top and white borders with white on the bottom. The road jersey, very similar but a reverse, with white jersey, blue numbers with orange border. The stripes are blue, orange, blue, and they have the same GSH initials on one side, the right side. The pants are blue with a white stripe running top to bottom with orange border, and the socks are white with 3 stripes in the middle, blue, orange, and blue.
Well, I love both home and road uniforms. It's such good contrast, the navy blue on the white. And the best decision the Bears ever made was in the 80s, where they added the blue pants in. They look good at home, they look good at road. They don't need to experiment with orange at all for the jersey. They don't need to do color on color. These are one of the best uniforms. The classic helmet. If I'm going to say there's anything I don't like, I'd like the numbers to be a little thicker.
Mm-hmm. Spaced out a little more.
And spaced out a bit more, but that's all. That's the only fault I can find with the Bears.
I agree.
Number 8, the Los Angeles Chargers.
And they have a white helmet with the lightning bolt logo arcing over the number of the player in blue. The face mask is yellow. The home jersey is blue with the lightning bolts on the sleeves. The numbers are white with a yellow border and italicized. The pants are white with the lightning bolt going most of the way from the top to the bottom, but not the full length of the pant, maybe quarter. And the socks are blue on top, white on the bottom. The road jersey is almost identical but reverse with white jersey. The lightning bolts on sleeves are yellow with blue instead of yellow white. Numbers are blue with a yellow border, also italicized. Pants are yellow with a white lightning bolt running down the side with a blue border, and socks are blue on top and white on the bottom.
The current Chargers uniforms are extremely popular. They are a modified version of the original uniform set that they had going back to the 60s. This was the most popular turnback uniform across all of football. Whenever the Chargers would wear these, going back even to the early 2000s, people just loved them. And count us in with the rest of the fans. The Chargers introduced a 2007 set of uniforms that were by far their worst. They were a downgrade in every way. Never understood the decision with those uniforms. We liked every uniform set they've ever had except for those. This was a welcome change when the Chargers decided to go with this modified version of their original look. Two things we don't like, though. The Chargers would bring back the turnback uniforms, and they've done that going back even to the year 2000. And throughout those years, they had a version without the numbers. I know it's tradition, but I prefer not to have the numbers.
It's such a strong logo on its own. They don't need that.
And then the second criticism is, why do you have on the current set italicized numbers? Other than that, they are wonderful uniforms. We have them at number 8. We don't rank them quite as high as others would, who would put them in their top 5, in their top 3. If we're just talking about home uniforms, okay. The road's not quite as strong. Whether it be the white on yellow or the white on white, I would be interested in seeing a white on blue as an alternate. So white jersey, blue pants. So excellent home, just not as strong though with the road.
Right, and I would even prefer the white pants with the road uniform, but with the Chargers combination, doesn't work quite as strong, but I still would prefer it over the yellow pants, the jersey, and the helmet lightning bolts. So that's one advantage if they went all white, but still would be interesting to see a blue pant option.
If I have to say one other thing here is I wish the team was still in San Diego. They had over 50 years in San Diego. While they didn't win a Super Bowl, they had great success. They've been a competitive team throughout the years. And they've always looked good, except when they introduced uniforms in 2007.
Number 7 is the Indianapolis Colts.
They have the white helmet with the blue horseshoe logo and a loose stripe in the middle with the gray face mask. They have the home jersey blue with white stripes at the top of the shoulder with the number in white on the side, white numbers on the chest, And then the pants are white with a blue stripe with a white inside and blue outside border running top to bottom. The socks are blue on top, white on the bottom. The road jersey is almost identical, but the jersey is white instead of blue. The stripes at the top of the shoulder are blue instead of white, and the numbers on the sleeve are also blue instead of white, as well as the chest. Everything else is the same.
While these uniforms don't have any feature that just jumps out at you, there's no weakness in them. To me, they're timeless uniforms. You think of Unitas, Peyton Manning, and another team that I associate with winning and success. And the helmet, I wouldn't change anything except blue face mask. We love the blue face mask for the Colts when they had it. But the rest of the uniform, just keep it as is. And when you can only get away with really only one color, they just have blue, you're doing really well.
Right. Nothing really that I would change other than the face mask color. There's no gray in any other part of the uniform. Like you just said, there's only really one color, blue. So either blue or white face mask would match better with the rest of the design, but otherwise very strong.
I've always enjoyed the blue jersey at home, and what makes both the home and road work is the double blue stripe on the pants. We rank the road uniform, the white on white, as our top white on white uniform in football.
Number 6, the Kansas City Chiefs.
And they have a red helmet with the Arrowhead logo on the side with KC in the middle of it. With a white face mask, the home jersey is red with white numbers with a yellow border. On the shoulder, they have stripe on the sleeve, white, yellow, and white. And the numbers on the chest are the same as the shoulder, white with a yellow border. The pants are white with a stripe running from the top to the bottom on the sides, yellow on the inside and red on the outside. And the socks are red on the top with 3 stripes on the bottom part, white, yellow, white, red, and then white just the bottom of that stripe set. The road uniform is white with red numbers and a yellow border on the shoulder. The stripe on the shoulder sleeve is red, yellow, red, and the numbers on the middle of the jersey are red with a yellow border. The pants are red, and the stripe that runs from the top to the bottom is yellow, red, white. The socks are white, and the stripes are red, white, and red. The lower half with white at the very bottom.
Once the Chiefs became one of the premier teams in the NFL when Patrick Mahomes became quarterback, that was just fine with me for 2 reasons. Because I love Arrowhead. It's one of the best football stadiums there is. And then these uniforms, for me, they are very underrated. I usually like a helmet that is not the same color as the home jersey, but it works quite well for the Chiefs. And as I've gone on, through watching, I've come to appreciate their uniforms more over the years. Home is strong all the way down, but their road, I think even it pops more.
Right.
That white, because again, it has the red, white, red.
Right.
And the addition of the red pants when the Chiefs brought that in was like the Bears, one of those upgrades to a classic uniform set that actually made them better.
There's one thing that separates the top 5 teams from the Chiefs, and that is they have solid color socks. It's not the striping is bad, but I do consider it a tiny weakness. And I meant to bring that up for the Bears also.
And I didn't want to get into this too much during this uniform review because we want to present the teams in the best possible light, but it's just the way the players choose to wear the socks. And the Chiefs players are as bad as anyone at doing that. All the different ways and combinations they decide to change the socks. And the whole point of a uniform is
to be uniform. And we haven't mentioned that really to this point, but so many of the sock combinations that we have described aren't ever seen on the field, except for most commonly in the case of offensive linemen and some defensive linemen, but usually it's only the offensive linemen that you get a real correct uniform out of.
Yeah, you'll see Mahomes, for instance, he wears it right. Travis Kelce, he wears it right. But especially the chief defensive players and the defensive backs, it's just all over the place. You have reverse socks. You have all white stockings. But players should not have any freedom, to wear a different set because, again, it defeats the purpose of having a uniform. The sock is a part of the uniform. But we're not using that against it. We're not knocking them for our rating. We have reached the top 5. These should not be surprises to anyone. Number 5, the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Have a black helmet with the logo on the right side of the helmet only. A yellow stripe from top to bottom with the numeral on each side of the stripe on the front of the helmet. The home jersey is black with white numbers on the shoulder with stripes on the sleeve, yellow, white, yellow, white, yellow. They have the team logo on the left side of the jersey above the numbers, which are white and italic. The pants are yellow with a solid black stripe running from the top to the bottom, and the socks are black. The road uniform is almost identical, except the jersey is white with black numbers on the shoulder, black numbers on the jersey front. Everything else is the same.
Steelers are the only team in the NFL that has a logo on one side of the helmet but not on the other. What can you say about the Steelers uniforms? They are the uniforms of winners. The first dynasty in the Super Bowl era in the 70s, winning 4 Super Bowls with some of the greatest players that have ever played, and that's just true of their franchise in general. So of all the teams, they're just run unlike any other team. They have once their coach gets hired, that coach is going to be there for at least 15 years. And what I like about the Steelers is, again, they do not have a uniform like anyone else. It's unique. but in a good way. They're not pretty uniforms. They're not the most attractive. They're certainly not ugly uniforms or unappealing uniforms, but they're going for that Steel City working class city uniform, but they really do well with the contrast and with the black and the yellow, and that's what we see with all the Pittsburgh teams. It's the Pirates, the Penguins, and of course the team of Pittsburgh, the Steelers. They certainly don't need a yellow helmet. I never care for that when they have turnbacks. They have the black helmet and the black jersey, but it works. It works really well. But my favorite combo is the road, because you do have that black helmet, white. The yellow pants are a strength, just like a lot of these teams that we brought up, whether it was the Rams in the past. Don't like it as much on the Chargers, but for both the Steelers and the Packers, just excellent looks. Our only weakness here is the numbers. They changed the two italicized numbers in 1997.
Right. Very thin and close together and italicized, and the block numbers were much stronger. There's really no advantage to these current numbers over those, and they did wear them with throwback in 2019. It looked great. If they would make that one change, we may even place them higher on our list.
I completely agree. So that's the only weakness we can find with the uniform. There's nothing else to change here. There's no reason for the Steelers to ever move away from these uniforms. And a lot of commentators and uniform critics will say, well, you have to change your uniform at some point. You have to get up to the times. You need to update yourself, and you can't be left in the past. Not in our book. If you have something that works and it continues to look great for decade after decade after decade, and you continue to have success in that, there's no reason to abandon it.
Right.
And in our top 5, these are all legacy teams. These are the most successful teams there have been, except for the Patriots, really. And I think there's a reason why. They haven't changed their uniforms because they're timeless, and there's nothing to improve here except for, the numbers is the only thing. Love the Steelers. Number 4, the Dallas Cowboys. And right before we get into the Cowboys, the top 4 are clearly the best. They're head and shoulders above the rest of the teams. We had little points that we would fix with the Chiefs and the Steelers, but here you're just nitpicking to find anything with these teams.
And their helmet is silver with the blue star logo. The stripe in the helmet is white with the blue border running from the top to the bottom, and the face mask is gray. The jersey, which you could say is the default home jersey, but they rarely ever wear it at home, but it is blue with a white collar and white numbers with a blue border and a white border outside of that on the shoulder. The star logo is placed over a stripe on the sleeve of the shoulder. The stripe is white with silver and white being the pattern. The team name is above the numbers. The numbers are the same as the shoulder, white with a blue border and a white border over that. The pants are, at this point, more gray, though originally silver, and they have stripes white with a blue border running from the top to the bottom. The socks are navy blue on top and white on the bottom. The road jersey, which is typically worn at home all the time, for the most part as well, is white with the lighter, more royal blue shade of blue. For the numbers are on the shoulder. There are 2 stripes on the shoulder sleeve, both blue, and the numbers in the middle are also blue. The pants are more of a bluish silver color with this set. The stripe going from the top to the bottom is white with the blue border, and the socks are also the royal blue on top and white on the bottom.
The Cowboys have the most recognizable helmet and logo in the NFL, and it's one that so many fans jump on the bandwagon for because of the success of the Cowboys and the Cowboys being America's team. And I think they're just right here in our rankings at number 4. Obviously, the uniform you're going to see the most is what's considered traditionally as a road uniform, but we all know it's the home uniform for the Cowboys, is the white on the blue.
What is interesting is look carefully on the home uniform, the white uniform. They have 3 different shades of blue. You have the silver helmet with the navy blue star. Nothing else matches the star because the numbers and the stripes on the jersey are royal blue. The pants are the silverish blue, and then the striping is the royal blue, and so is the socks.
For the pants, they've decided, and they could have always had silver pants all this time,
as they did with the 94 uniforms. They've decided to go with a blend of blue and silver for the pants color.
Which is always quite, it's confused us for a lot of reasons why they haven't gone for silver pants. I mean, it is a great looking uniform. It's a terrific uniform even without that. There are no weaknesses for the uniform. It's just a preference for us. But if you're looking objectively and you step back, there's no doubt that although that's the uniform everyone recognizes and it's one of the best uniforms in football, the white home jersey uniform for the Cowboys, and that's the one they've chosen to use.
The superior uniform for the Cowboys is the road uniform, the uniform that has the blue jersey.
Right.
You have the star on, and you don't necessarily have to have that big star like we see when they wear the turnbacks, but they have the star on the sleeves there, and they've got pants that match the helmet.
Right.
Silver pants. Not only that, but the jersey and the striping on the pants actually match the blue on the star.
and that's always going to look best. And the only thing I'd wipe away is the team name, but even that looks as good as it's going to get for a team name. And it's always a treat seeing the Cowboys wear those, because traditionally you would only see them. The Cowboys would not wear those unless they were going to Washington to face the Redskins, or Miami to face the Dolphins. They want them to wear the dark colors there. The helmet, again, I'll get back to the uniforms. I just have to say this is, I don't ever want to see the white helmet. I know they'll use it, and they're going to bring it back now that they're not going to be restricted to one helmet. This is arguably the best helmet. I go back and forth. As much as I don't like the Cowboys, between the Cowboys and the Patriots, probably for best helmets in the league.
Right. The blue with the silver pants is one of the best uniforms. Also, I agree, in all football when used, and there's just no weaknesses. It's too bad that they don't use these as their home uniforms, but I also agree with the helmet that the star logo is so strong and recognizable, and the stripe down the middle of the helmet just works so well. White with the blue border and matches the pants perfectly. Definitely one of the best helmets.
Let us consider the real reason why the Cowboys wear white jerseys at home. When the Cowboys were established in the 60s, they played at the Cotton Bowl. And the Cotton Bowl was an outdoor stadium, and no one wanted to play under the Texas heat in blue jerseys. That's justifiable. That's understandable. But the reason why they continued to wear the white jerseys all these years is superstition, because they are playing in a stadium now that is an indoor stadium. Very little sunlight even reaches the field. The Cowboys historically lost some big games in the blue jerseys. None bigger than Super Bowl V. And from that point forward, they would avoid wearing blue as much as possible. The very next season, they win Super Bowl VI wearing the white jerseys. That sealed it. They'd go to back-to-back Super Bowls against the Broncos and the Steelers, and they wore white in those two games. And consider the back-to-back Super Bowls against the Bills. They wore white in each. I can remember
1996 when they played the Panthers, and they were upset. Well, maybe experts wouldn't think it'd be an upset, but the Cowboys got knocked off after winning the Super Bowl in 95 when they went on the road to Carolina, and they had to wear these blue uniforms, which I'm sure they hated doing. Every playoff game since, they have worn the white, and that's just a whole nother reason why they won't wear the blue, because it's just, well, if we're wearing the blue when it really matters, we're going to lose. Mm-hmm. But, hey, we got to step back and say, hey, they've lost Super Bowls. They lost 2 Super Bowls in white against the Steelers, the 70s Steelers teams. There you have it. Number 3, the San Francisco 49ers.
They have a gold helmet with the SF logo and white SF, red circle, gold border, and a black outer border. The helmet has a stripe in the middle, which is red in the middle with a white border. The face mask is gray. The home uniform has white block numbers on the shoulder and 2 white stripes on the sleeve. The team name is placed above the numbers on the chest, which are also white, so is the team name. The pants are gold, but not shiny at this point anymore. And they have a stripe going from the top to the bottom, white in the middle with a red border. The socks are red on top with white on the bottom. The road uniform is almost identical, except the jersey is white with the red block numbers on the shoulder and 2 red stripes on the sleeve with red team name placed above the red block numbers.
49er uniforms, this version of them is very similar to the glory years of the 49ers, the 80s into about the mid-90s. You think of Joe Montana, Jerry Rice, Steve Young, Bill Walsh, and George Seifert's teams, and winning. First team to get to 5 Super Bowls and win all 5 Super Bowls. When the 49ers have home games, it's hard to argue that you have a sunny afternoon and they're wearing the red on, we can call it, well, the gold or tan pants.
The 49ers make a strong argument and case for top home uniform in the NFL. Their red jersey is easily the best, better than the Chiefs, better than anyone else. It's beautiful.
Gold, red, gold. Contrast. And then when you have the road, you have the gold, white, gold. So you've got just about the best looking home uniform you can get with the colors and the best looking road uniform. And regardless of whoever they're going to play, when they wear this set, they're always going to look good.
Right. And I thought they look especially good under the night lights, especially the home uniform as well. And we can also note that when these uniforms were originally released in 2009, that the pants were a bit shiny and matched the helmet better. It's too bad that they don't anymore, but still very small issue.
Yeah, overall the numbers are good. My only issue is the 49ers don't need a name on there.
Right.
They didn't before. I don't know why they thought it was necessary to have it on both uniforms. But other than that, they're excellent. And I like your point. It's true. Perhaps they do look their best at night. But I always love seeing them at the start of the season in the sunlight. But there is something different as they do pop more. I think of the Chiefs' pants popping when they're under the lights with the road, but the 49ers' red jerseys just are stunning at night, especially. I mean, the whole uniform, I think the pants and everything look terrific in the sun. It's just they bring out different, features.
Right.
And strengths to the uniform in the different light, but again, they always look great, and usually they're the best looking team on the field.
Right. And the only slight modification I would add as well is prefer the original logo on the helmet, but again, very minor, small.
Right, the black outline around the SF, I agree with that, but it is very minor. And I agree with you also. I would like to see, you don't need to have pants like they did starting in 98 where they're shiny like what the Saints had and what the Rams would end up having too after they won their Super Bowl. It doesn't have to be like that, but just a little shine.
Closer match to the helmet.
Would be nice, but again, I can't complain.
As 49er fans, we would prefer that they went back to the 1991 to 1995 uniform set. That was the cleanest look they ever had and the most polished during the championship years. But these uniforms they have now are similar. They do pay homage to the glory years for the 49ers. And it's why they're in our top 3.
Now we come to the top 2. And when we come to the top 2, we're actually into a whole new category. This is what we call now the flawless. These are truly the flawless uniforms.
We've gone through 30 teams now, and we've been weighing the strengths and weaknesses of them all. And there are some teams we didn't even mention weaknesses, like the Panthers. But a lack of originality hurts them. Or the Colts. Their helmet may not be a weakness, but it's not exactly a strength either. With these 2 final teams, everything from top to bottom is a strength.
And I wish I could still say the Oakland Raiders. They should still be in Oakland. I know the NFL loves them being in Las Vegas. They should be in Oakland.
Right.
Or Los Angeles as
Right.
a secondary choice. They should not be in Las Vegas. But number 2, Las Vegas Raiders.
They have a silver helmet with the Raiders shield logo with the name and the Raider inside of it. They have a black stripe down the middle of the helmet, from top to bottom, with a gray face mask. The jersey is black with the numbers on the shoulder sleeve in silver, block numbers. The chest numbers are the same, silver block. The pants are silver and they are still a bit shiny. And they have a black solid stripe going from top to bottom. The socks are black on top with white on the bottom. And the road uniform is almost identical except the jersey is white. The numbers are black with a silver border. And everything else is the same.
I didn't want to get onto a rant. We're 49er fans, but we always watched the Raiders too. And it was a treat having 2 football teams to watch in the same area. We weren't necessarily pulling or rooting for the Raiders, but hey, when they were good, especially in the early 2000s with Gruden, Gannon, Jerry Rice, Tim Brown, Charlie Gardner, Charles Woodson, you had all those names. They were very entertaining to watch, and one thing about it is you could always appreciate these uniforms. People say about certain teams, like in baseball, oh, well, baseball is better when the Yankees and the Red Sox are good, and the Cubs, and so on. When football, I think it's true when the Raiders are good, football is better. It's just a shame they're not in Oakland, or at least in the state of California anymore. But they just get everything right. The helmet, the iconic Raider silver helmet, black jersey, silver pants, but they are more grayish, like we said. They still have a slight shine. It's ever since Nike took over the pants. Nike has messed up so many pairs of pants, but that's not their fault. Whether they're gray with a little shine or the traditional, silver, solid silver pants, these are superb uniforms that do not need any improvement. I like the home, of course. They're simple, but they're just right. Because they're silver and black. No other team has that combination. The Panthers kind of copied them, like we said. And everything's just so clean. There's no striping on the jersey. They don't need it. There's no logos anywhere. They don't need it on the jersey.
We've gone on at no end about the importance of contrast in all of these uniforms. But I'm going to make an exception here.
As much as I like the home, the road, though, has always been my favorite of the two.
Same here. You just have even better matching color, really, in the white jersey to the silver, making it even cleaner and smoother looking. Though I agree, I think the black jersey is one of the best in football as well, but the white just is an even better match with the silver. So I've also felt that way too.
Yeah, I always remember years ago Greg Papa calling them the team of the decades, and people forgotten that the Raiders were very good in the 60s, they were good in the 70s, they were good in the 80s, even until the early 90s. It's just been this last couple decades where they've struggled. You know, they did get to the Super Bowl in 02. It's not to say they haven't made it in the playoffs, but the Raiders are one of the great original teams. And another thing I gotta say though about Las Vegas is, so it's a shame they're not playing outside. You know, that you don't see the sunlight on these uniforms. It's a well-lit indoor facility. Again, I don't know why they call it a dome, but it's an indoor facility, and you don't get to see them, you know, as good as it should be, you know, featured in the spotlight as they were outdoors.
Right.
And what else can you say about the Raiders uniform? It is a perfect uniform. And number one, as much as I like the Raiders, and I called it a perfect uniform, we have the Green Bay Packers at number one. The 49ers' number one rival in our lifetime has been the Packers. So we've seen a lot of these jerseys. There's a good reason. We're going to go on and on why they should be number one.
They have the G logo in the middle of yellow helmet with a stripe down the middle, white with a green border top to bottom, green face mask. The home jersey has a collar which is striped white with a yellow border, and the numbers are block numbers on the shoulder in white. The sleeve has the same stripe as the collar, yellow, white, yellow, and the numbers on the chest are the same as the sleeve block numbers in white. The pants are yellow with the same stripe that's used for the helmet, running top to bottom, white stripe with green borders, and the socks are green on top, white on the bottom. The road uniform is almost identical, except the jersey is white. The collar is striped as well, with yellow in the middle and green as the borders, and the stripe on the sleeve is the same, green, yellow, green. The numbers are green. Everything else is the same.
When we look at the Packers uniforms, I mean, they are champions. They were called Title Town for a reason, because they won the most NFL championships. When you go back and look before the Super Bowl era and you put that together with the Super Bowl era, they've still won the most championships of any team.
We have to explain the difference between the color yellow and the color gold. There is much confusion over this. Because how many times have we heard the Packers described as the green and gold in baseball? The Oakland A's, the green and gold. The color is yellow. Green and yellow. What are the traditional teams in the NFL that have yellow? Packers, Steelers, Rams, Redskins, Chargers. The 49ers, the Saints, they're gold. If they're not gold, then what are they? This set of Packers uniforms is impeccable. They're brilliant. They're gorgeous. Every time the Packers are on the field, they look better than the opponent. Whether that be home or road, it doesn't matter. And there's no favoritism here because as 49er fans, this was our rival. This was the team that got the best of us. And there's no favoritism. I'm saying without a doubt, together we say these are the best uniforms. They look better when they're on the field. Let's use some examples. They played the Steelers in, it's a 2010 season, 11 Super Bowl. And the Steelers have, as we said, we rank them at number 5. The Packers won the Super Bowl, plus they had the superior uniform. Super Bowl II against the Raiders, best uniform was the Packers. And then all the matchups we've seen against the 49ers, and the 49ers look great, home or road, and that's what we've seen the most of. It's our personal experience. I can't deny it. The Packers are the best looking team on the field. And anytime there is an alternate uniform they use, like the Acme Packers, I don't want to see it. I feel cheated.
Right.
Anytime I don't get to see these uniforms, and what's even better is you get great quarterbacks. Mm-hmm. Go back to the Super Bowl era, they had Bart Starr. And then we grew up with Brett Favre. And then Aaron Rodgers. So you have a great quarterback and usually a very competitive team and the best uniforms, and I think that's good for football.
Yeah, what I love about the uniform is that all the elements are working together with another at some point. You have the same stripe down the middle of the helmet that you have on the pants. You have the same stripe in the collar of the jersey as sleeves, and one of the strongest points I've always thought is the helmet matches the pants no matter what combination they have, and that alone places them as one of the highest ranked.
You said no weaknesses, everything is perfectly balanced. We could nitpick and find something with every team on our list if we want to. Even with the Raiders, with the pants not being as shiny as it used to be. With the Packers, there's nothing. There's nothing that I would change, and there's no doubt they're number one. This is where they should be. And for me, there's nothing that any team could do to have a better uniform set than this.
Right. I just love the consistency of the design overall as well. Just really the only difference is the color jersey and the stripes in the neck and shoulder being alternate colors, but otherwise there's no strange differences between home and road, names, styles. It's very, very well structured and consistent uniform.
And the contrast for the home uniform is perfect with the yellow, green, yellow.
And on the road, you said it so well, the yellow helmet and yellow pants. Contrast is as good as it gets for the home uniform, and the matching road uniform. And there's just no point to even consider experimenting here at all.
Right. And like you said, even when they wear alternates, they don't need them. And I'll say even when they wore the color rush white with the white pants, it was so well done that it wasn't even necessarily bad. It's just not as good, of course, as the yellow pants. But all they did was take the yellow pants and make them white, and add the same stripe down the side, and it still looked good.
Notice what our top 4 teams have in common for the home uniform. It's alternating colors. Packers, yellow, green, yellow, green, with the helmet, jersey, pants, socks. Raiders, silver, black, silver, black. 49ers, gold, red, gold, red. Cowboys, silver, blue, silver, blue. That's getting it right.
Well, all in all, that is our ranking of all 32 teams in the league, where they currently stand. I know by the time we finish this, that it's going to be out of date because teams change and what they've announced, or what we can guess as best as we're able to, that they're going to wear, especially with the new uniform sets like the Bengals. They may change that. I'll say it's a low moment in the history of NFL uniforms. It's the dark ages of uniforms. We have the legacy teams that do not change. If anything, it's a very subtle change, and they look fabulous. But half the league is not wearing, even more than half the league, is not wearing their strongest uniform. They're wearing not even their second strongest uniform set. They're on some kind of trendy look. They're experimenting because they're franchises that are in the gutter, and that's what they do. And at least if you lose, you can lose looking good. It's time for some of these teams to stop messing around and just go back to what, if you have any taste, is a solid look.
Right, I agree. Since we've been watching the mid-90s, it hasn't been any more extreme that I can remember as now. The separation between the traditional teams and the trendy teams, and there's a lot in the middle. But there have been some improvements in the case of the Browns, the Bills, but still a big extreme divide between one end of the spectrum and the other.